Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Idea Gen Global Podcast with George Sifakis.
I'm George Sifakis. In a world overflowing with noise, there is one forum where the world's smartest voices connect, where visionaries sit at the same table as innovators, and great minds don't just talk, they act.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Hi, this is Joe from Vanta. In today's digital world, compliance regulations are changing constantly, and earning customer trust has never mattered more. Vanta helps companies get compliant fast and stay secure with the most advanced AI, automation, and continuous monitoring out there. So whether you're a startup going for your first SOC 2 or ISO 27001, or a growing enterprise managing vendor risk, Vanta makes it quick, easy, and scalable. And I'm not just saying that because I work here. Get started at vanta.com.
The Red Apple Media Podcast Network presents This is Protecting America. Now, here's Emmy-winning journalist Rita Cosby.
Welcome to another edition of Protecting America. I'm Rita Cosby. There is renewed emphasis on who's in our country already after that horrible attack by an Afghan national on 2 National Guard troops. Now, this comes as attacks have been increasing on ICE and Border Patrol agents. And joining us now to discuss this and more is Paul Perez. He is the president of the National Border Patrol Council. That is the union which represents 16,000 Border Patrol agents. Paul, it's great to have you here.
Thank you, Rita. Always good to be with you.
How big of an increase are you seeing on Border Patrol and ICE agents, and how dangerous is this?
Well, it's been over 1,000% increase than what we've ever seen, and so it's a daily issue for us. Our mission is being impeded and interfered with by all of these people that are looking to make names for themselves and their groups. These are people that we're not even going after. These are people that are interfering and impeding with our duties because they want to keep all of the illegal aliens that Biden brought in. They want to keep them in this country, and we're trying to get them out.
You know, there was recently a really crazy case that happened in New York City where they actually blocked ICE agents from leaving the garage. Are you worried just how much this is escalating, not even able to do their jobs? And shouldn't those people be charged? I know the NYPD came out, but it seems like they're trying to do whatever they can, not only to attack agents, but also to impede them from carrying out their important duties.
Oh, absolutely. I believe they should be charged because of exactly what they're doing, exactly what you said. And, you know, there are so many cases, but it's the dangerous rhetoric, not only by those people on the left, but the media as well. The media is not being honest, and they're not portraying what's really going on in the true light. They're portraying it as our agents just going out there and doing random sweeps, taking people into custody, when everything we do is targeted enforcement. We're going after certain people. But again, like we've always said, if somebody is illegal in the country, we're going to arrest them regardless of what they think their status was or is.
You know, you talked about the role of the media. What would you say to the media if you could talk to them now? Because it is incredible. It's almost like they're an alternate universe. At least some members of the media certainly seem to be.
Be honest. Tell the truth. If you're going to go out there and report, if you're going to go out there on the front lines, be honest about who's agitating, who's actually aggravating the people out there. It's these paid antagonists. It's not our agents. It's not our officers. They're out there doing the job that they swore to do. They're upholding their oath. And all the media needs to do is be honest about what's really going on out there.
Have you found any members of the media, at least some of them, being fair? And do you believe the mainstream media overall, Paul Perez, is still in the tank?
Yeah, you know what? The mainstream media is not doing its job. We have found, and surprisingly, not surprisingly, it's the conservative media that's really being honest and telling the truth about what's really going on and how our agents and officers are under attack. So, yeah, we've seen some people out there that are doing a really great job. They're trying to do as much as they can to report the facts, but they don't have the backing of the big publications that are unfortunately left-leaning and inspired by what they want to be the truth, which is that our agents and officers are out there doing things that are illegal and immoral, and they're not doing any of that. They're trying to protect Americans and trying to protect this country.
How important is it for, border agents and ICE to be coordinating also with local departments? Because thank goodness the NYPD came out in that case against, where the ICE were being blocked in their garage. They could not even leave their garage, which is really quite incredible. Here they're about to go out and do some arrests, and they're literally blocked in their garage.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important that we coordinate. But again, it goes to the leadership of the municipalities, the cities, whether it's a city council commissioner. If they're not supporting ICE, they're not supporting Border Patrol, they're going to only allow their officers to do the very bare minimum. So when our agents and officers are actually being assaulted, we look to local law enforcement to come out and help because they've got the numbers. But it's all going to depend on how many people they actually allow to come out and support us.
Talk about also the morale. How tough is it for Border Patrol agents, Paul, that are right there in the thick of it? And how difficult is it when they're dealing with the politicians, they're dealing with the media, they're dealing with activists?
Yeah, the doxing and the harm that may come to our families from us doing the job that we've been doing for many years in certain cases is very bothersome. Look, our agents know that we've got the support of the administration, the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, President Trump. So that is a very, very huge morale booster compared to what we had with President Biden. But what really disappoints us is the fact that a lot of these politicians and the media are allowing these activists, these antagonists, to dox our agents and officers, to report falsehoods of what's really going on. And that's very disappointing. That's very demoralizing. But the morale of the agents and officers to do the job is very, very high because this is what they've wanted to do all along.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Payne Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You talked about the doxing, too. How do they avoid that? And what do they do to protect themselves?
Well, you see that they're having to wear masks. A lot of the Democrats, a lot of the people that were pro-mask during COVID are now anti-mask. And it's ironic that they would be against masks when these agents are trying to do what they were trying to do during COVID, which is protect themselves, albeit from a completely different attack, which is the doxing, which is these people wanting to put our agents' pictures on social media or on the web so that people can identify them and identify their families. So they're doing everything they can to protect themselves, which is why they're wearing these masks.
Are you still getting a lot of people who say, I still would like to sign up? I mean, talk about great Americans that are dealing with all this and still in there protecting all of us. What kind of response are you getting for those who want to join the Border Patrol now?
It's been through the roof. Our applications are through the roof. They're the most that we've ever had in the history of the Border Patrol. We can't hire everybody. The Congress gave us, and the president asked for 3,000 more Border Patrol agents. So we're going to get that. We're going to get that easy. It's just going to take a little bit of time because, we don't hire anybody. We've got to do thorough vetting, but our applications are through the roof. And it's a really, really good time to be a Border Patrol agent if you want to do the job.
What are the kind of criterias, too, and what kind of people are applying?
Number one, you've got to be a good moral character. You've got to have a clean background, but you got to be a patriot. You can't, they're going to investigate everything. You're going to do a polygraph. You're going to do a physical, a mental assessment, and they're going to weed out those people that we know are trying to infiltrate our organization and create chaos, or those people that, are trying to infiltrate our organization for greed and corruption. But we're looking for patriots. We need people that really want to protect this country. That's what we're looking for, and that's what we weed out to get.
And how old are some of the applicants? Or young, and also men, women? Is it predominantly men?
Our maximum age for Border Patrol is you have to retire mandatorily at age 57, but you can get a waiver extension up to age 60 right now. So most of the people that are coming in are in their mid-20s to early 30s. That's the age range. But, of course, we take military veterans that have done 20 years in the military that are coming in their 40s, and they're doing a great job for us. Those, again, are patriots continuing to serve.
And most of them have law enforcement background, or is this, in many cases, their first time at law enforcement?
Many have a law enforcement background. Many have a military background. And so there are college graduates. There are very few that didn't have a law enforcement military background or college degrees. But, as long as they are qualified, as long as they're patriots, they got a clean background and the motivation to do the right thing, we will hire them.
You know, it's night and day, as you guys know, at the border since President Trump came in. What do you say as now we've been seeing all these headlines of some of the people who got into our country? Obviously, the latest case was the Afghan national who opened fire. He came on the parole program, the Operation Allies Welcome program, after that dismal withdrawal from Afghanistan. But how many people do you believe have gotten into the country under Joe Biden that were either flown in on a parole program or through the wide open southern border? Obviously, we think about the case of what happened recently with the Afghan national who came in on that Operation Allies Welcome program, given the parole, who obviously did that horrible attack on the 2 National Guard troops. How many more are like that in this country that we just have no idea about?
Tens of thousands, unfortunately, because, again, during that period of time, you know, vetting is only as good as what the country has. For example, and I'll just use a quick example. If you get a citation anywhere in this country, there's going to be a record of it. It's going to be uploaded. We're going to be able to get the citation itself, as well as any type of body cam or camera footage of the actual citation, documented traffic stop, because that's the type of records civilized countries like America have. In some of these countries like Afghanistan, they have 0 records available. So there is no vetting. There's very, very little, if any at all, vetting. And so that's exactly what happened here. You know, they were letting people in that should have never been allowed into this country, only because they worked with the military. They worked with the government out in Afghanistan. That's a lot different than vetting somebody to come in, be part of the population of the United States and live amongst us. So there's a very, very high percentage of individuals that came under the Biden administration that would have never been allowed into this country if there were proper vetting.
So how do you vet those kind of people?
It's very difficult, even possible. We do the same type of vetting for people in other countries, but again, we rely on the governments. And when governments fall, when governments are corrupt, we can only rely on what they're giving us. And a lot of the times they want to give us documentation that is falsified so that we can say, okay, yeah, you know what, we cleared vetting for this person, let's let them in. But again, as you can see here, it's only as good as what the country's given us.
Yeah, and in this case, what are you going to do? Go to the Taliban and say, hey, please provide details, right? I mean, there's just no way.
Exactly. That's a big problem for us.
Yeah, and in many other countries, you look at like Venezuela, too. I mean, where there's so many issues tied to that. How could you ever potentially ever figure it out, right?
Yeah, corruption by governments is a big impediment to getting true vetting. And even then, if we get vetting, you know, how good and how reliable is it because of the corruption, you know?
Yeah. And so how do you solve that? And how could we ever figure out who's in this country, especially when the estimates that it was anywhere from 20 million up, maybe 10 to 20 million people here in this country under Joe Biden's tenure alone?
Yeah, I believe it's very high, higher than what people have said in the past, you know, because, again, they pulled everybody off the line to allow these people to come in unvetted. And then when we were processing everybody, those people continued to cross because the cartels were working with other organizations to move people across. So the amount of people that came into this country is definitely in the high millions, a lot higher than what people have stated. I believe President Trump, when he says there's 20 to 30 million illegal, I definitely believe that. It's something that is not unfathomable because of what we've actually seen. Now, how do we stop people from coming into the country that are not vetted? We look at the countries and we say, from these countries where we cannot get clear vetting, we're not allowing anybody in because we can't take the risk. We cannot assume that risk that somebody we're bringing into the country could do harm to our American citizens. We don't want to take that risk, and we should not.
What do you say to some of the Democratic politicians who've been out there, Paul, who've said, this is terrible, this is you're blacklisting particular countries or particular individuals? This, to me, it's just security, black and white.
Walk a day in our shoes. Don't come down for the photo ops. Come down, look at exactly what we're dealing with. Go get your intelligence briefings, pay attention, listen to what's really going on. Instead of doing the dog and pony photo ops, come walk a day in our shoes.
Yeah, how tough is it to be a border agent or an ICE agent right now?
It's not easy. It's great. It's a great time to be a Border Patrol agent and ICE officer because we're allowed to enforce the laws. But it looks like we're up against politicians and the media. And so we're having to watch our backs from the criminals that we're going after, as well as from the politicians and the media that are spurring this rhetoric that's causing us to live in the most dangerous time to be a law enforcement officer in this country.
Did you ever imagine also, Paul, that you guys would almost become sort of political pawns, especially it seems for the Democrats, not for the Republicans, because they're appreciating you. And I feel like common sense Americans are appreciating you guys. But did you ever imagine in certain cities like in Chicago and elsewhere, a lot of these blue cities, that you guys would almost become the symbols? The good guys are becoming, it's almost Alice in Wonderland.
No, early in my career, I would have never expected that. But when you saw AOC and when you started hearing about kids in cages, which was created under Obama, when you started seeing that narrative spin up, that's when I knew we were in trouble, because the media was going to do what they could to give rise to this type of rhetoric that was completely false. It was these false narratives about us doing all this stuff, being jackbooted thugs, calling us Nazis. That's when I saw it. But early in my career, no, I would have never seen this.
Paul, how much do you think that kind of rhetoric coming from many Democrats is contributing to these attacks against you, to this just really dangerous climate?
Without the rhetoric from the Democrats that are spewing that hate, without the rhetoric from the media, we wouldn't have these problems we're having now with these activists, with these antagonizers. It wouldn't be there if it weren't for the Democrats on the left that are spewing it and the media publishing it.
What do you say to your agents when they go out there on the job every day, dealing with all these hassles? What's your sort of advice to them?
Watch your back, maintain operational control and coverage, and God bless you, and get back home to your families every night. Do everything you can to get back home to your families every night.
Well, boy, oh boy, we are praying for all of you guys. And Paul Perez, thank you, with the Border Patrol Council. You guys are doing just such heroic work. And so many Americans support you guys. The good, I think, law-abiding citizens are cheering and applauding loudly. And everybody be sure to subscribe and share to this podcast. And Paul, thank you so much for joining us on such an important time.
Thank you, Rita. I really appreciate it.
And everybody, I'll be back soon with another great edition of Protecting America. And of course, you can catch me every weeknight, 10 p.m. to midnight on the legendary WABC Radio. This is Rita Cosby, and thanks for all you do to protect America.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now, is a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Payne Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.